Thanks for checking out the second update for my next game, Last Stand of the Mushrooms. I'm going to talk about progress I made in the middle 2 weeks of May. You can check out the first update if you're interested, and subscribe if you want future updates as the game progresses towards its summer release. The first week the game was updated to the latest pre-release of the Pursued Pi Bear engine the game is built on top of. It's good to keep on top of changes to the engine, which means pretty swiftly right now as a relatively young project. As long as I was doing some internal work, I spent 2 days or so refactoring all the timing logic related to code around the mushroom attack and the toxin cloud it spews, and how that cloud applies damage over time to the Vikings as it spreads out. It's roughly 1,000 times more performant now. It works a lot different with the same gameplay effect. It does take a lot less work now than it used to, and actually does a lot closer to what I had originally intended the behavior to be. As part of the refactoring, I also moved a bunch of code around, started organizing things into better packages, and not just having a flat group of modules that are frankly a mess as they were before, and getting a little more organized is pretty good for my future direction in working on this code. A lot of information important to the gameplay was missing, including a key to the smooshroom mechanic. Implemented a meter component that you can see here, something I'll probably use for all of my games going forward with this engine. So obviously, it's a pretty basic element to use in games. In this case, there are 2 meters on each mushroom measuring both a health and a toxin level. Players can see when a unit's about to be killed now, and the toxin meter is also expended as the smooshrooms use out their toxin, and it has to regenerate over time. That gives a bit more dynamicism to the gameplay, and gives a little bit more strategy that you have to employ in using them. I also had some time to make a few animation tweaks, including better state management for the Vikings, their attack animations, and getting the feel of the mushroom squish a bit better now, which I'm pretty happy with. I also gave the bitmap text system color and kerning options, as well as improved sizing control that's more consistent with sprite units in the rest of the game. And these were necessary to add damage numbers for both the Vikings and the mushrooms, which, along with the score getting colored, starts to sort of show how the spores coming off of the defeated Vikings add to your spore count. And of course, I created a simple tile background, just random tiling right now, to give a little better of environment than the blank green background that the first iteration of the prototype had. The second week, I tackled a few big new things that required even bigger changes under the hood. I broke the game up into title, gameplay, and pause scenes, and doing so meant reworking a few of the early systems to be scene-specific controllers, because systems are an engine-level plugin in the Pursued Pi Bear game engine I'm using. I wanted to build a second type of mushroom the player can use as well, but that meant rewriting lots of bits that made a lot of assumptions that you can only make whenever there's only a single unit type in the game. So that required a lot of refactoring on both those scene systems as well as the mushroom handling. And that went pretty well, and then I was able to implement this new unit. So the new unit is called the Potasim. It's a ranged attack mushroom that flings spore pods at the approaching Vikings. It also has a toxin counter like the smooshroom. It expends to shoot, and it needs time to recharge. So larger waves of Vikings and stronger Vikings will have a depleted effect by the Potasim, and will take more as a group to attack. So like and subscribe, of course, that's what they always say, but also check out my personal and game dev Twitter accounts, which will be linked in the description, and take a listen to my game dev podcast if you want to hear more about my thoughts on game development along with my partner JC. We do a game dev podcast episode every week, released on Wednesdays at sidequestcompleted.com. You can also find us at all the usual places: Spotify, Google Podcasts, and iTunes. So subscribe and listen to all of our episodes where we talk about all the things we do making games, as well as have many fun interviews with lots of other hobbyists and indie developers.